Okay, we're going to do some maintenance on this tank. I call this the sunset tank just because of the colors of the fish that are in here. And as you can see, we've got a bit of an issue on this branch. I don't understand why it's just these branches, and then obviously it started to spread. You can see down there. But I remember on one of Fish Shop Matt's videos, he said that he set up 2 tanks, and one of them started having an issue with algae, and the only thing that was different from both tanks was the type of wood that he used. So I think that this wood is the issue, because it started this problem almost immediately after setup, and obviously now it's just getting worse. Every time I try and take it out, it spread to this one. So this wood is fairly okay. This one is problematic. The shop that I got it from labeled both of them as spiderwood, but I've used spiderwood before and I didn't have this issue, so I'm not too sure what's causing this issue. But this tank does need to be sorted. And then obviously you can see, even though the growth is really nice, it's kind of taking over the tank, and you can't really see my beautiful water lily in there. So we're going to do some massive maintenance. I'm going to take out quite a lot of the plants from here. You can see the nice reds in this tank. I use the API CO2 booster. I don't use it often, I'm not going to lie. Probably once a month or when I remember, just to kind of get the nice reds that we're getting. I don't run CO2 on any of my tanks. So this color and growth is all from, well, the nutrients in the tank, the fish bioload, and occasionally the API CO2 booster. You can see I've got some plants growing out the top. But yes, today this is what we're going to do. We're going to do some hectic maintenance here, and we're going to try and hopefully sort out this problem. So we can see the fish a bit better. Okay, we're going to first scrape the glass, and then I'm going to do a massive water change on this tank. And then we're going to do some plantscaping and obviously remove the algae. Okay, so there wasn't really anything I needed to scrape off the glass. I'm just giving it a wipe down with the sponge. But yeah, the glass is relatively clean. It's not like I have an algae buildup on the glass like we saw in the goldfish tank, but it's just this that's a problem. And I do believe it's the wood that I've used there, because the water's fine, the glass is fine, but yeah, the wood is got this horrible algae on it. Which is a bit ironic, because I used to boast that I don't ever have algae issues in my tank. Right from startup, I don't have these issues. So I guess this is just a bit of bad karma catching up with me to say, well, now you have some algae issues. We're going to do some maintenance on the plants here, try and cut them back a bit. And then we're going to tackle the algae issue that we've got. Okay, so we're going to just see what the best method, I've taken it out the tank, best method to clean this without removing the Anubias Nana Petite that I had glued onto this branch. I think the best method is going to just be to use my hands. You can see. We're going to have to just hope this problem doesn't come back, and if it does, I'm going to have to remove the plant from here and then maybe glue it onto a different type of wood if this just keeps giving me an issue. And like I said, I've never had this problem before. I don't really have algae issues in my tank, unless, you know, you're really, really bad with water changes and you've got an overloaded tank. So if you've got too much of fish in your tank, not good filtration, then obviously the bioload is going to dirty the water and you're going to have algae issues. The other thing that will give you algae issues is too much light. Sometimes, you know, it's not the duration but the strength of the light. So you might think brighter is better. It's not always better, because too strong light will cause algae issues. So if you've got natural light, like if your tank is near a window that's going to get really strong sun and you've got the light on, you probably will notice that the side closest to the window is always got a build-up on the glass. So these are just things to bear in mind. There's various reasons for the build-up of algae, but the only thing I can think of with this issue for me is the wood. I don't know. Because the Anubias was also from one of those lab-grown ones, you know, the ones that aren't harvested from another tank or from a pet store that had it in their aquariums. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm just brushing the wood so that if there is any pieces left on it, we can make sure it doesn't go back into the tank. I've picked out everything that I could with my hand. So now I just want to see what I can get out with the brush. The filter hasn't been cleaned since I set up this tank in August 2024, so a few months ago. The pre-filter I have cleaned maybe two to 3 months ago, so we're going to see what condition the pre-filter is in. But the internal filter in here has not been cleaned. You'll see that this also has an internal heater, and this is the Biomaster 350 if I'm not mistaken. I can't really remember, but we are now going to hope we don't make too much of a mess as we undo this. Okay, so this is the pre-filter, and basically what this does is it helps filter some of the water and trap, as you can see, trap the dirt before it filters again in the bigger section. So it's kind of like 2 filtrations in one. Not too bad, but we are going to rinse these the sponge out, but a lot better than I was anticipating. And I just want to get this out. Okay. You can see that that is trapped quite a bit of dirt down there. Okay, so as I mentioned, this is the pre-filter. You'll see that the filter sponge is fine. You do get filter sponge that's a bit more coarse. The difference is this will trap finer particles, like dust particles and bioload from the fish, etc. And then it obviously the bigger particles will run through into the bigger filtration system. If you use coarse sponge here, then obviously it will trap the bigger particles, and then it will also trap small particles as well, but probably not as effectively. This is also fine filter sponge. So this is like the last tier. And then this is coarse filter sponge. So this one traps like really big dirt. And also sometimes if decaying leaves and stuff get sucked in, it holds it back here. And then in here are ceramic stones. So this is what they call biomedia. And on here, your beneficial bacteria colonizes. And then these are just also more and different types of biomedia. So it's basically surface area for bacteria to colonize in, just to try and get the good bacteria. And then the last layer is another coarse sponge. I have to say that since setting up this tank, this is the first time I've cleaned inside here, and it really wasn't as dirty as I thought it would be, so I'm quite impressed with that. But I also think it might be because of the substrate, and I'll talk you through that as we do the tank maintenance. As you can see, the water change and me uprooting some plants has obviously unsettled a lot of the dirt and dust in the tank, so much like the goldfish tank, except this is a lot worse. You can see that the water clarity is not great. So I've done a 50% water change. So I've taken out 50% of the water, filled it back up, and I've got the filter running. So you can see there's a very nice flow. This helps keep the water aerated, so that it provides oxygen to the tank as well. Yeah, so we'll come back in a little bit and we'll see how well the filters worked on the tank in clearing up some of this dust particles. Once that's done, I can just do another scape quickly. I've obviously placed the logs that I've cleaned back in there, but it's probably not in its permanent position. So once the water is a bit clearer, we can see how I want the layout to look. It's been about, say, 40 minutes since the filter's been running. So you can see it's cleared up considerably. The water's still a bit cloudy. I'm not sure if the camera is picking it up properly. It is still a bit cloudy, but much better. You can at least see the fish and the plants. Now we'll give it another 30 minutes to clear up, and then we'll do the final scaping of this tank. Okay, we're going to just replant some of the clippings I took out yesterday. This obviously helps you to save money on buying extra plants, because these are going to grow. They're going to need to be maintained. So it's just nice when you can just take a few clippings that you'd like to save and replant them in the tank. I'm gonna take this out because this doesn't look too healthy, so we're just gonna take that out, but I'm gonna use my hand. I think it was overshadowed. Didn't get enough light. Okay, we're gonna just replant the ones that I just uprooted now. You want to have your substrate, which is the aqua soil and the sand, as thick as possible. Obviously not too thick, because you don't want half your tank filled with substrate, but thick enough that you can plant down into the substrate without the plants uprooting, especially if you have fish that like to uproot themselves. I had glued this initially, but yesterday when I was cleaning the algae, it came off, so I'm hoping I can jam it between those two and the roots will take hold as it grows. If the algae comes back onto that branch, I'm just going to remove that branch entirely and put the anubias on a different wood structure. You'll see that the roots from my peace lily is also growing into the tank. So that's the peace lily up here. So it's a terrestrial plant, and I've just got it in a basket to hold it in the water. But it's growing so nicely that the roots are kind of going into the into the water. Some of these roots as well, just so that it doesn't take over the swim room. The roots will grow back, obviously. Does not harm the plants in any way. So, and then we're just going to remove some of these leaves. These leaves is a combination of it touching the water as well as the heat from the light. Okay. Then we're just going to put this. Maybe we'll put some nice color here. Trying to get as much of this algae out from the tank as possible so that it doesn't spread. Just pinching some off with my fingertips because sometimes that's easier than using a scissor. And these reds should pop again once it has access to nice light, because once it's shadowed by other plants, they tend to lose the vibrancy of their color. They think it's food. Just moving the substrate back. I did consider redoing the substrate from scratch, but I decided against it. Also, so that you guys can redo a tank if it goes a little bit wrong without having to incur the costs of starting from scratch at 100%, because obviously, as you can see, these little things, this is the aqua soil. This is what helps the plants to grow. They make them into round balls so they don't dissolve in the water and then cloudy the water. So the aqua soil is obviously very important if you want to have plants in your tank, live plants. And then the sand is just so that it's pretty and it looks like a river bottom. I wasn't sure how the sand was going to look with me muddling around and pulling out plants, etc. But I'm actually not too unhappy with the way it looks. It looks almost like a natural riverbed bottom. I will still reposition these two pieces of wood once I've made sure I've gotten all of these pieces of algae out the tank, so that we know we don't have this issue, or we hope we don't have this issue going forward. So that's what we're going to be busy with. The water's going to obviously get cloudy again. But yeah, let's see what the final product looks like. As you can see, we didn't get all the algae off this plant. If anyone knows an easier way to do this, let me know. Because otherwise, like I said, I'm going to have to just remove this wood from the tank completely. It's actually the next day. We've done a little bit of planting in the back. So we've put the cuttings that we took from yesterday and we've replanted them. We've kind of cleaned up the sand a little bit. And yeah, the tank is actually looking really good. I'm really happy with it. The fish are happy. I can see them now. So yeah, I think all in all, it was a good session. I am still worried about this branch, so I'll be keeping an eye on it just to make sure. Like here, I'm not 100% sure if all the algae has managed to come off the branches. So yeah, other than that, the tank is looking great. You can see how well this lily is doing. It's grown so beautifully. It's got such nice big leaves, and now that it's not covered by the other plants, I think the colors might be a bit more vibrant as well. I just wanted to give you guys an update before we ended the video, just to show you how the tank's doing since the maintenance session. The plants are growing nicely. The fish are very happy. It's looking really good. So far the algae issue isn't as bad. It's been about 5 days, and yeah, it doesn't look as bad as it was. It doesn't seem to be getting any worse. There is still some algae on it, obviously, but not to the extent that it was. So yeah, I was worried about the substrate as well, but I like the way it looks. I feel like it's giving me sort of the illusion of a natural riverbed with the aqua soil on the top. It looks like, you know, what a normal riverbed would look like with the current pushing the sand. So I'm happy with that. This plant's looking really nice. It's got some nice growth going on. There's a new leaf coming out there. It's growing into the substrate, and it broke off from this piece. So I don't know how it broke off, but that piece is showing some growth. So I guess I'll have 2 of these plants in the near future, which is great. But yeah, fish are great. They're happy with the extra swim room, and the tank's looking really nice and healthy. So thanks for watching me, guys. Really appreciate the support, and if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks, and catch you on the next video.